So the Brill Dictionary of Ancient Greek is $125. BDAG is $150. Should you get one of these? If you've got one, should you get the other? In this video, we're going to ask that exact question and work out the differences between them so that you can make an informed decision. Hi, I'm Brill from Master New Testament Greek, and I help people like you with the tools, habits, and system to master the Greek of the New Testament. If you're interested in Biblical Greek and want to get more videos just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit the notify bell so that you know when I release new videos. Now, in this video, we're going to take a look at dictionaries. There are 4 things that really drive dictionaries to create new editions. And these 4 reasons stand in behind the likes of the Brill and Bedag. Let me tell you what those 4 things are. First of all, dictionaries can have different goals, and we're going to definitely see that with Brill and Bedag. They're both trying to do quite different things. Secondly, often we have new updates from scholarly research and dissertations and all these kind of things, and even language research that's taking place that requires that we go back to our dictionaries, our lexicography, and actually revise it, because the way we think about words actually changes a little bit over time. The way we think about and understand the way words are used in different languages develops as we research these things. And so that research and that development and that understanding as it grows, it necessitates that dictionaries and lexicographers go back and update their work continually. Thirdly, the language that those lexicons are actually designed to reach actually changes as well. So a good example of this would be the word episkopos, right? The Greek word episkopos in the New Testament 200 years ago was probably translated bishop, and 200 years ago in England that would make total sense. However, today the word bishop has some theological freight to it that we may not always want to bring out, and so for that reason a lot of modern dictionaries will provide bishop but only as a secondary or even tertiary gloss, and will prefer something like elder or overseer instead. The last one is, of course, that there are updates and changes in the way that material can be presented, and this requires often that we lay out the text in different ways, and we're going to see that in this video as well. On the basis of that, there are distinctions between Brill and Bedag. Brill is, of course, what I'm using to refer to the Dictionary of Ancient Greek. Bedag is what I'm referring to as a Greek English Lexicon of the New Testament and Other Early Christian Literature, 3rd edition. There's a reason we call it BDAG, right? We can actually get that right. So that's the difference. So we're looking at Brill and BDAG in this case, and we're going to look at the differences. First of all, Brill. Where did Brill come from? Well, Brill is the Brill Dictionary is a translation and slight update of a Greek-Italian lexicon. And if you're thinking Italian, how does that make any sense? Well, there are very few Greek English lexicons that actually start from scratch, because honestly, it takes a lot of money and time to build a dictionary, and so we need to appreciate that as well. BDAG is an update of it's the 3rd edition of a work that was initially published in English in 1955, updated to 2nd edition, what we now know as BAG D, in 1972, and it was published as BDAG in 2000. Primarily based on the work of William Dunker. Dunker was involved in the 2nd edition, but by the time the 2nd edition was published, the other contributors to that had passed away. Dunker, of course, passed away in 2012, so unfortunately he probably didn't get very far on the 4th edition, even though he refers to it in BDAG itself. What are the differences in terms of where these have come from? Well, the big difference between these 2 works is really the purpose or goal of them. BDAG is focused on the New Testament. Now, it does say in the title, and other early Christian writings, but what he really means by that is not all of the patristics, but really some of the apologists. So Justin Martyr, Clement of Alexandria, some of these very early Christian writings. Now, this means that if you're going to be working in some of the Apostolic Fathers and you've only got BDAG, you're probably going to want to get something to go with it. Now, the typical pairing to go with BDAG would be Lampe. Now, Lampe produced his Lexicon of the Apostolic Fathers a number of years ago, 1940 something, I think it was, and it's very hard to get now. It's not available on Logos to my knowledge, though it probably should be. That would be a great addition, wouldn't it? The key thing with BDAG is it's focused squarely on New Testament studies. Brill, on the other hand, is focused on ancient Greek. Now, that means he starts all the way back in classical Greek and goes all the way into the patristics, which means he includes Lampe and the New Testament and the intertestamental period and the classics. So there's a broad array of work there that they're drawing on. Now, this means that there are more words in Brill. There are 132,000 individual words in the Brill Dictionary of Ancient Greek. However, not all of the lexical glosses are particularly long. On the other side, BDAG tends to have longer explanations of what things mean, but it's restricting itself mainly to the New Testament and to a small number of other texts outside of that, particularly, as I mentioned, from the first 2 centuries of church history. So let me show you the difference between these two texts by looking at them in Logos Bible software. Now you can see here that I've got these 2 dictionaries side by side, BDAG on the left, the Brill Dictionary of Ancient Greek on the right, and in both these cases I've got the word gamao sitting here. Now gamao means to marry, okay, and you can see that the length of these 2 entries, of the 2 of them, the length of these is pretty similar. Now, first of all, notice in Brill, you've got these Arabic numbers here, 1, 2, 3. Now, each of these in Brill gives you the meaning in the different Greek voices, active, middle, and passive. Now, that means that whenever you're looking at an entry in Brill, it's going to give you an entry in one of those 3 voices. On the flip side, you look at BDAG here, and you've only really got 1 meaning. And that's because BDAG is set up really to provide you as the English reader with the best gloss or glosses that you need to have really to be able to understand how a word should be understood. Now, let me just go over to another word. Let me go to dokimazo, because this is a word that has a number of variations. Now, both of these are showing dokimazo. Again, in Brill, you can see you got active, middle, and passive. 3 core meanings, again, very simple. But on the other side, with the BDAG, you've got 2 meanings that are given. And here's where you get into what Bauer used to refer to as extended definitions. And so the goal of BDAG here is to provide you with a variety of ways that you as an English reader might understand this word to be being used in the variety of texts that you see it in. Now, this is important. This doesn't mean that it's giving you a variety of glosses for you to pick and choose from. What he's trying to do here is to give you a variety of glosses so that you can see the lexical scope of a word, the semantic range of a particular lexeme. And so dokimazo here, there are 2 definitions he gives you to try and capture the breadth of its meaning. Now, when you look at this word in your Greek New Testament, don't think it's going to mean one or the other. It's trying to give you the range, okay? So you want to try and think, how do these 2 things complement one another? Then if you want to see how I've done that in the past, there's a video I'll leave just up here that allows you to see, in fact, with this word dokimazo, how it's used throughout the New Testament and therefore what we can understand from its usage throughout the text. So another key layout difference you'll see here is that BDAG gives you all of these bold-faced New Testament links, right? So you can mouse over 1 Corinthians 11:28, for instance, and you'll see here the context of 1 Corinthians 11:28. You skip over to dokimazo and Brill, and there are, as far as I can tell, 0 New Testament references whatsoever. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but he's drawing primarily here on older texts than what the New Testament is drawing on, which means you're seeing how it was previously used, not necessarily how it was used in the Koine New Testament, or how it may be adapted for the New Testament as well. Some entries, it's going to give you New Testament usages. In fact, let me take you to another example of dogmatizo, right? So this is a word that only occurs 1 time in the Greek New Testament, and that's in Colossians 2:20. If you died with Christ from the elements of this world, why, as though living in the world, do you submit to regulations? And you have a present, middle, passive form of the word there. And if you go over to Brill, on the other side, you've got 2 meanings, active and passive. So there's no middle form. So that must be a passive indicative in the Greek text. And so he's giving you to be declared. And so then you can see he's actually got a gloss specifically related to Colossians 2:20. So here again, you have Colossians 2:20. It's giving you a link to the New Testament. Like every word you look at is going to have a link to the New Testament words. And so when you do get it, it's going to be helpful. When you don't, you just have to be aware of that. One other thing that I should mention just briefly, and that is related to that last thing around dictionary updates, and that is that the technology itself, because that changes, that gives you additional opportunities to change how the presentation of the dictionary is done. So you can see here on Brill, what you've got is you've got this hanging paragraph format, but really you don't get a lot of options about how the text is going to be laid out. It's laid out pretty much similarly to how it would be on a physical page. With BDAG, you actually have a specific Logos edition, which means you have some kind of cool features that you don't get with the print edition. So if you come up here where you've got this three circles next to each other here, and you click on that, you can actually choose outline formatting under the resource section here. So if I click on that, it instantly will reformat this page to make it a lot more readable. And so this is an advantage that you get with the Logos edition, and again takes advantage of some of the updates to the technology. And so both of these are taking advantage of technologies, but just in slightly different ways. And BDAG is a very specialized technology update, specifically designed, well, adapted by Logos, with the expectation that this would become the default dictionary for New Testament scholars, which is largely how it's played out. So which one should you get? Should you get one? Should you get both? Should you get either? Well, here's my recommendation. I recommend that if you can only get one of these, get BDAG. It is, in my opinion, I've done a lot of work with glosses now, particularly as I was building out the Master New Testament Greek vocabulary set. This is it gives you a good range of understanding when it comes to the words. I don't understand how Duncan could have invested this much time and the quality of work he's put into it. Now, that doesn't mean I agree with him and everything he's done in the 3rd edition of BDAG, not at all. But it's very good. And so if you can only get one of these, BDAG is definitely worth the $150 investment to get if you can get it. I use BDAG instead of every other lexicon that I have, and I have a whole bunch of them. I do refer to others, so that doesn't mean to say I don't refer to them, but BDAG is my go-to. That's the one I'm going to go to. The second one I do use, particularly in the patristics, is the Brill, because not only does it give you that ancient meaning, and it's in a very short form, and that's something that is an advantage over the New International Dictionary of Theology and whatever it is, NIDTTE, NIDDNT, I can't remember. You know what it is. Those the excellent 5-volume works by Moises Silva. That's a great work, but this is just much more succinct. Gives you all of that information in a much smaller format, and I really appreciate that. The other thing about the Brill dictionary is it does provide a replacement for LAMP. You no longer need LAMP if you have the Brill Dictionary of Ancient Greek, because it covers all of that same material as well. They actually make a point of pointing that out in the preface at the beginning of the dictionary. So that makes it hugely beneficial, because LAMP is very difficult to get a hold of. So if you're going to buy one of these, get BDAG. If you're going to be working in the patristics, Brill is a well worthwhile investment as well. But I want to know from you what you use on a day-by-day basis. What's your go-to Greek English lexicon, and what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Leave a comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'd love to hear from you as well. And if you want to learn more about Biblical Greek, if you want to learn the language itself, then go to masterntgreek.com/roadmap and download your roadmap to mastery today. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. We'll see you then.